Welcome to Stanislaus Football Weekly, and now for your hosts, Joe Cortez and Brian VanderBeek.
Hi, welcome to the show. I'm Joe, this is Brian, and Brian, this is it.
This is it. Week 10, ready
Week
to do
10,
it.
yeah.
Well, we kind of already know who's in the playoffs, and on Saturday the section will meet and come up with all the seedings for all the divisions, and we've got some surprises there to reveal here. But let's just go league by league.
Yeah, let's not wait for the section here. Let's get into it.
Okay, MMC. We know who's in. Downey's in. Modesto's in. Gregori's in.
Which is the way the coaches predicted in our preseason poll.
But they're still going to decide who gets the number 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, because we've got the big game this week, Downey-Gregori.
Right.
And if Downey beats Gregori, then Downey is unbeaten in the MMC, and they'll get the number 1, Modesto will get the number 2.
But
Gregori gets the number 3. But
if Gregori wins,
yeah,
we've got a 3-way tie for the top seed at this point.
That's right. And if there's a 3-way tie with 3 teams, Modesto, Gregori, Downey, all with 1 conference loss, Modesto gets the number 1 seed by virtue of the section's 13-point tiebreaker rule. That's you take and consider blowouts, and since Modesto beat Gregori 42-7, that's a 13-point win for them. They lost to Downey by 3. That's -3. Modesto's done in this triumvirate of
tiebreaker system.
Tiebreaker hit. So they have 10 points. Downey can't do that. Downey would have to, obviously, if Downey wins, they're in. If they lose, they couldn't get to 10. So Modesto would be the number 1 seed. And then since Gregori would have beaten Downey, Gregori would be the number 2 seed. And that'll really, again, all 3 are in the playoffs. That's going to decide who gets 1 home game.
Right.
Because there's nobody in the MMC probably that's going to get 2 home games. Downey could. But it's unlikely. So
I think Downey's the only one of the 3 that could.
So let's look at the key MMC games this week. Mm-hmm. Well, let's pick the 2 games. The 2 games of meaning: Modesto Davis at Gregori. I think you got to go with Modesto in this game.
I'm going to go with Modesto as well.
Mm-hmm. And then the Downey Gregori game.
I like Downey.
I like Downey too.
I think they've got too many weapons.
That's it. And in a high-scoring game on a fast track this week, and the weather's not going to be a factor like it was last week. The offenses should be pretty well revved up.
Yes.
Let's move to the CCC, where we know Merced and Pittman are in, mm-hmm. and Turlock can get in and be a 3rd team out of the CCC should they beat Pittman
in the Harvest Bowl.
In the Harvest Bowl. Turlock at 5 wins right now needs to beat Pittman to reach 6 wins. So there we go. Merced, Pittman are in. Does Turlock make it 3?
If Turlock loses, the Bulldogs are probably out.
They're out at 5 wins.
That's 5 wins. There's really not a scenario
right
to get them in. They've got to beat Pittman to get that number 2 playoff seed.
Mm-hmm.
I say they do it. I'm picking the Bulldogs in a bounce-back effort after their tough loss last week in the rain. I think on a nice night, I think Merced probably wins that game a little more handily. Mm-hmm. They were right there. Could have done it. I think they get it done this week. Turlock over Pittman.
I like Pittman over Turlock. Just Pittman seems to have dominated the series since it started.
It has.
They've got momentum going there. I think Pittman's the better team at this point. So I like Pittman to win the Harvest Bowl again. Moving over to the VOL, we know Sierra, Oakdale Central Catholic, and Manteca are in, and that's it. I mean, no one else can get in.
That's it. But that's half the league.
That's half the league. Assuming Manteca beats East Union, and assuming Sierra beats Weston Ranch, which are pretty fair assumptions.
Sure.
Then we have 2 more scenarios based on the big games this week, or the big game this
week.
The
big game, Central Catholic at Oakdale.
Right. If Central Catholic beats Oakdale, Sierra is going to be the number 1 seed if they win. We know
Period.
That. If Central Catholic beats Oakdale, Sierra's the number 1, Central's the number 2, Oakdale's the number 3, Manteca's the number 4. If Oakdale beats Central Catholic, Oakdale moves into that 2nd seed,
mm-hmm.
or that 2nd seed out of the VOL, excuse me. Central 3, Manteca 4. Why is that important? Oakdale, as a number 2 seed, is going to get a home game.
That's huge.
That's huge. They would get a home game in the first round of those Division III playoffs.
And the Division III playoffs are rough.
They're rough.
There's a couple of teams that could end up with 10-0 records in that division.
Right. There are teams that could be league champions. The Division III encompasses 8 leagues, so there's going to be a league champion
that has to hit the road.
That's going to not going to get a home game.
But Oakdale's played a really formidable schedule. It's
Absolutely.
league schedule, and then it played Turlock and Sonora, and that's a tough road.
Okay, so the one variable we have is the big game in the VOL this week.
The big game.
The big game. The game we've been waiting for ever
That's
since,
right.
ever since Central Catholic was announced going into this
That's
league.
right.
Central Catholic at Oakdale, and how do you see that playing out?
You know, a couple of weeks ago, I saw Central Catholic barely lose to Sierra.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw Sierra dominate Oakdale. But that was coming off a short week for the Mustangs.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like Central Catholic more on the synthetic turf at Oakdale High. I'm going to give the edge to Central Catholic slightly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a tough pick. It's a tough pick. I'm going with the home team. I just think Oakdale is just too physical for them. Last year's Central Catholic team in this game can match up physically with Oakdale. I just don't think they can do it this year. I like Oakdale, a relatively low-scoring game, something like 17-10, 14-10, something like that.
I'm thinking like 21-20, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Let's move over to the WAC, where we know Pacheco, Los Banos, and Patterson are in. Patterson has 6 wins. Will get to 7 wins with a win over El Cap.
El Capitan.
Central Valley can get to 6 wins if
That's
it
right.
beats Series.
Crosstown rival series.
Heavily favored to do that. The big game this week for the WAC championship, Pacheco, Los Banos, the crosstown clash.
And it's the first time in the brief history of this new rivalry that it's for the league championship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Pacheco.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Panthers are just too physical a team.
As am I. Pacheco's going to win this game. Los Banos are terrific. I mean, Dustin's did a great job with that Tigers team this year, and hats off to Los Banos, the city of Los Banos, for being in this position.
No doubt.
Just terrific.
Football Central.
Well, we really thought that Los Banos would take a dive with the opening of Pacheco and the drawing of those athletes, and we knew that the WAC would be up for grabs this year with the departure of Central Catholic, but for Los Banos to be in position to finish first and second with its 2 high schools there is just outstanding.
I thought Los Banos was going to be in for a down year coming into this season, but like you said, Dustin Carapreso's done a wonderful job over there with the Tigers.
Yep. Trans Valley League.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This is another big one.
This is fun, and there's a little bit of a twist here. Modesto Christian, Escalon, and Houston are in. We know that.
Correct.
We have the big. Let's just pick the big game, and I'll tie it in with the Mother Lode League after that.
Okay.
Modesto Escalon visits Modesto Christian on Friday night in Salida, and I'll walk clear across the freeway to go see that.
You're going to walk?
No, I'm not going to walk.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's that close. I could if I really wanted to. I don't want to. How do you like that game?
I'm going to go with Modesto Christian. I've seen both Escalon and MC, and I'm just a little more enamored with MC's speed and their athleticism. And they've got some size on the line, too.
Speed, weapons, Modesto Christian has it over. It's just a matter of whether they can stop the grinding. If Escalon gets that offense grinding on the really good field in Salida, they've got a very good playing surface. It's not the mud at Escalon. If they can get that offense grinding, that's the only way. But I just see that quick strike offense from Modesto Christian just being a little bit too powerful.
And that's the wild card, that grind.
Yeah.
If Escalon can get into that grind mode with those 11, 12 play drives and kind of lean on that thin Modesto Christian roster, we could be wrong.
Speaking of twists, and this is where the TVL and the Mother Lode League come together. We know in the Mother Lode League, Sonora is in, Somerville is going to be in if it beats Linden, and then the 3rd playoff spot out of the Mother Lode League is going to go to the Amador Calaveras winner.
Right.
A little bit of a twist here. Because of the size of the schools, right now as it stands, Escalon projects to be the smallest school in Division 4. If Calaveras beats Amador, Calaveras is going to sneak ahead of Escalon into those Division 4 playoffs and move Escalon down to Division 5. You think Escalon's rooting for Calaveras this week?
Just a bit.
Just a bit, absolutely. So I guess that's the game we got to pick in the Mother Lode League. Amador Calaveras.
I'm going to go with Calaveras in that one. I think Calaveras has been on a bit of a roll, kind of turned its season around here, and I think they keep it going Friday night.
I think they do, and Calaveras is going to beat Amador, and the Cougars are going to be celebrating.
Going to be in D5.
They're going to be in D5, and they could win it. They could win Division 5.
Absolutely.
Division 4, not so much.
A little tougher.
Not so much this year. Southern League, we know LeGrand, Mariposa, Ripon Christian, Gustine, and Oristimba are all in. How about that?
That was a crazy race. And it's still not decided.
Not decided, because the winner of this week's LeGrand-Mariposa game is going to be the league champion and the #1 seed.
Right. And Ripon Christian, by virtue of its win over Mariposa last week, can still sneak in and get that number 2 seed.
Right. If LeGrand wins, Ripon Christian gets the number 2 seed. If Mariposa wins, they'd slip to number 3. Not a bye week for Ripon Christian over a very improved Delhi team, though.
That's right.
So
That's
Ripon
right.
Christian's
Still got work left.
Had some great wins. So
as they say in golf, it's a knee knocker.
it's a knee knocker. It's not a tap in. It's not a gimme. LeGrand Mariposa.
I'm going to go with LeGrand.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. They just got the history, and I know new coaching staff, or at least new coaching staff at the top. Kind of a change of the guard with the Bulldogs, but I just think they keep it going.
Yeah, so do I.
So before we leave, we always have some great photos that don't make the paper, but they're online, and well, here's some of them for you to look at. Great photos from
always
from a wet week.
That's right.
A wet week.
It was wet everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
No dry spots.
I was in Escalon and it just poured the whole game.
I was dry though. I went to the press box.
Yeah, we've been through that, haven't we?
Yeah, we did.
It's going to be dry Friday night, and this is week 10. Whether it's the Harvest Bowl, whether you're going to go to Oakdale for your last chance of some regular season tri-tip, you're going to go to Salida for the TVL championship. Hey, choose your game and go out and see some high school football this weekend.